Hello my friends, Steve Dempster here, Dempster Guitar Studio. Got a bunch of people around me, we're all playing. I call out a chord, let's say it's D major. What do you think everybody goes and grabs? They go and grab our classic little triangle guy, boom. And in the minds of many players, that's what a D major chord is. And it is. More importantly, to many of those players, what a D major chord is right now is it's that shape. Which is a good way to start to learn the instrument, of course, so we can start playing what we want to play. But at some point, you want to get a little bit deeper into why is it that shape? And indeed, what is it about the chord that its construction lends itself to that shape? In other words, how is the thing built? Where did that come from? These are just not random shapes that somebody made up. They come from something else, and there's a logical process to that you can understand and have access to. So, for example, here's a good thing. Here's a little C major chord. You've probably not played it like that before. With a little bit of understanding of how that chord is created, without ever seeing a C minor chord, I would just manipulate that a little bit until I get what I'm looking for. I've got a C minor. I didn't have to look it up in a chord book. I didn't have to wait for somebody to show me how to do it. I didn't have to go to the internet, or interweb as my folks call it. I didn't have to do any of that. I just relied on some very powerful knowledge that I have. C major, oh yeah, click, click, click. C minor. Hey, what about more obscure sounds that you've probably avoided because you don't know anything about them, typically? How about C diminished? That's an interesting sound. Shows up a lot in music. It's very common. Or what about C augmented? When I first heard the term augmented, I thought my teacher said demented. So I kept on going. C demented. It's not demented, it's augmented. Okay? Or what about, where does the C major 7 chord come from? Why is it called that? And what are all these things that are making it up? However you play it, it doesn't really make any difference. What about a minor 7 flat 5 chord? My goodness, that's complicated. How do I? No, it isn't complicated at all. It's just a recipe. There's a formula for it. It's just that these are chords that you probably haven't had a lot of access to, depending on the style of music you play. But if you go a little deeper than just shape, waiting for someone to show you the shape, you can actually construct these quite easily for your own use, and that's a very powerful tool to have at your disposal. And then all kinds of variations. There's a really nice F major 7 chord, sort of with that note. You don't see that in a chord book very commonly, but because I have some knowledge of what makes that up, I'm able to produce that, and that may be exactly the sound that I'm looking for in a certain tune. So if you're the kind of person that is curious about understanding chords beyond their shape, what makes them up, how are they built, why are they named the way they are, you should come into the workshop. Would love to have you. And I would love to have you there, and we can have some tea, talk chords, figure out this stuff once and for all, and demystify the apparently mysterious world of chords. So come on by, look forward to having you there, and I'll be sending some more information out shortly just as we get closer to the timeline. But if you're interested, start thinking about it, because the space is limited, and good, we'll be ready to go. See you then. Thanks for listening.